Hey friends, it's Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel Terry and I am the author of 5, soon to be 6 fantasy novels. Information will be in the description box down below if you're interested. Today I wanted to talk about AI, specifically AI in creative pursuits like writing. And I'm sure this is a topic that has been discussed to death, but I wanted to give my opinion on it, as well as discuss a survey done by BookBub in which 48% of surveyed authors admitted to using AI in some part of their writing. But before we get into all of that, I just wanted to state my take on AI, and that is that I do not, have not, and will not use AI in any capacity on any of my books. That is my promise as the author to you, the reader. I think it's really important for readers to know that the stories that they consume are written by human beings. So if you read one of my books, whether you love it or hate it, it was 100% written by this human right here. So let's get into this. AI has blown up recently. It's a frequently discussed topic. It's highly contentious, and unfortunately it's here to stay. I don't think that this is going to go away. The genie is out of the bottle, and now it becomes a question of how are we going to respond to this. And I think that AI is a tool like any other. I think it can be used for both good and bad. And unfortunately though, when it comes to tools like this, I don't think human beings are very good at regulating their behavior or using these tools ethically. And when it comes to AI, particularly Gen AI or AI models that have been trained on material that was stolen without consent or compensation, in my opinion, there is no ethical use of that AI. We know for a fact that these AI learning models are trained on stolen material. Not all of it is probably stolen, but we know at least some of it is, because these models have to be trained on a vast amount of material in order to learn, and there is no chance that the companies that own them are going to take the time or pay the money to acquire all of this material legally. And another reason why I think they take IP without permission is even if they were to go to authors and ask for permission, they probably would not be given the permission. I would be glad that they asked, but my personal answer would still be no. This all kind of came to a head earlier this year when it came out that Meta had stolen, pirated literary works. This was anything from novels to even like research papers to train their language learning models. So not only did they not pay for or get permission to use this material, they took it from a piracy website, LibGen. That broke earlier this year and it was a whole big scandal, and I assume that the lawsuits are still working their way through the slow court systems. But it's disgusting, especially because Meta is definitely a big enough company and wealthy enough that they could have paid the creators of these works what they were owed. But that didn't happen. The way I look at AI when it comes to writing is that I love writing more than just about anything. Why would I want to let a machine do it? I wouldn't. And I think people are using AI as a crutch. I think they're using it to help them write, not write the whole book for them. But I don't think that that's okay. I don't think that the use of AI in any capacity is okay because, again, we know it was trained on stolen material. Never mind the whole vast amounts of electricity that it uses and the environmental impact and all of that stuff. Like, let's just focus on the fact that it is a theft machine. I believe Victoria Aveyard called it that. I follow her on TikTok and she's been very outspoken about the use of AI when it comes to writing. You're not going to learn how to be a writer if you let AI do everything for you. You're not going to learn how to overcome the difficult parts if you constantly keep leaning on AI. You're just going to go back to them again and again because it's easy, because you never push through, because you never learn to do it on your own. And because we know AI was trained by all these stolen materials and can only spit out things based on everything that it was fed, it's not original. It's a theft machine. And it was designed to replace us. Not just writers, not just artists, people in general. I think that AI, again, it's a tool like any other and it's an innovation, but I'm starting to think that this is probably one of the biggest inventions, so to speak, that we've ever encountered. When the internet came along, it drastically changed how people worked. It made a lot of things easier, it made a lot of things more efficient, it also made some things more difficult, more complicated. But it definitely shook up the working landscape. I think on the whole, the internet or computers allowed people to do their jobs better, potentially. It definitely at least changed how people did their jobs, but there were still people doing the job. Now with AI, I suspect it's to replace the workers. We're living in an age of potentially unprecedented corporate greed, in my opinion, and instead of using AI to make workers more efficient, to maybe cut down on busy work so that they can get to the things that really matter, if a company can just fire an employee and replace them with AI, they will do that. In fact, we've already seen some of that happening in the tech sphere. And this is really bad. And one of the reasons why I am against AI on the whole is because I think it's leading to a devaluation of humanity. It used to be that people had inherent value simply because they were human, but now they only have value if they can make the company a lot of money, if they're really productive. The fact that we're human beings no longer has any value because we're seeing human beings thrown over in favor of AI, which is not human, but is very productive, very efficient, and can save the company lots of money. And I don't like where this is going. This goes beyond just being writers or artists or musicians or creatives of any kind. It's not good. I didn't want to live in a dystopian, but here we are. A lot of people have said that they had hoped that AI would do the manual labor that no one wanted to do so that people could have time to do creative pursuits, the things that they really wanted to do. And unfortunately, it seems to be the opposite. AI is not good at manual labor, and I kind of think it never will be. So that leaves only those kind of jobs left, and it's not good. So let's get into this survey. There were about 1,000 authors surveyed by BookBub about AI. Granted, that's a very small number because there's lots of authors out there and they weren't surveyed. I wasn't surveyed. However, of the authors that were surveyed, 48% admitted to using AI in some capacity. And there are some quotes in this survey. I'll leave the article linked below. And of course, the quotes are anonymous because the thing about AI is authors use it, but they don't want to admit if they use it because they know they'll be canceled. The readers will boycott their books, they won't read it. And yet, if you do admit it, you'll get boycotted anyway. It's a lose-lose. So it's like I would have more respect for authors who admit that they use it, but they don't because they know it's not popular. They know the repercussions of it. So there's no names attached to these quotes. These are all anonymous. It says, for authors who don't use AI, ethical concerns are a primary reason. Quote, AI is theft. Period. There are no ethical uses of a program built on stolen IP. This is my take. You just can't use it for anything ethical if you know that it was built on theft. Never mind the fact that you know it's also built to replace you. I do think AI probably has, again, some good applications, particularly potentially in the medical field, but this is not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about saving people's lives, detecting diseases earlier, more accurate diagnoses. We're talking about theft of intellectual property and kind of cheapening the whole creative process, like why we write in the first place. This quote says, many of my books have been stolen to train AI tools without my permission, and I believe that generative AI as it currently exists is unethical and destructive. However, authors using generative AI are applying it to a wide range of use cases. This person says, quote, I have integrated AI in all levels of my business, for helping keep track of details in a long-running series to drafting out ideas to see if they're marketable before rewriting to helping with my marketing process. This person says, I use it for generating plot and plot twist ideas, refining word choice, making grammar corrections, drafting passages and scene descriptions, rewriting passages. Originally X was happening, but now I've changed the story, so Y is happening. Please rewrite this paragraph to reflect this change. Generating character names and drafting character profiles, getting writing feedback and advice, but none of this is just blind, generate me some text so I can use it for my novel. It's all reviewed, accepted, rejected to stay within my voice and vision. In the past, I might find myself stuck for days trying to resolve problems. Now I have a writing partner who always has advice and suggestions. This is one I really wanted to address because we have studies already that are showing that if you frequently lean on AI to help you with simple tasks, you will become dumber. You will not know how to do simple things because you're relying on this crutch constantly. And my point about this particular example is all of these things that people are now using AI to do, we have done up until this point without AI. We didn't need AI to do it before. We don't need AI to do it now. You're perfectly capable of doing it on your own. And this also reminds me of something I saw on Kickstarter. I saw this fantasy book on Kickstarter and the entirety of the art was AI. The author was open about this, I suppose to their credit, because again, if you are going to use AI, you should be honest about it. Whether the author was honest about it or not, you could tell. It had that very airbrush looking AI quality to it. And it just kind of amazes me the mental gymnastics and hoops that people jump through to justify, oh, I use AI for this, or I just use it for that, or I have changed it completely. Like this particular author justified it as they ran hundreds of prompts through the AI thing until they got the exact art that they wanted, and then they edited it afterwards themselves so that it fit their specific vision. And all I can think now is, how many bottles of water did you waste with all these hundreds of prompts? Like, there's going to be a cost. The bill is going to come due eventually. Even with all the prompts that you ran it through, even with any edits that you might have made, it's still not good enough, in my opinion. It's not an explanation I buy. It's still generated from theft. So it can never be yours. It can never be your character. And again, when you're using it to generate character names and things like that, I have a book of names throughout history from various countries. There are baby name websites that exist for parents-to-be. Like, there are all sorts of examples, resources that you can get to do something like this that you do not need to lean on AI for. This quote says, I use it for almost every part of the process. Though I do the majority of work myself, AI is really great at helping me to organize my thoughts, prompt new ideas, and streamline my work. AI is the ultimate writing buddy and assistant. Again, theft. Anything it spits out, it drew from something else. It's not original, and in my opinion, I don't know how you can copyright something that was created by AI, because it violated all this copyright that when it stole the material to be trained on. And it's not original because it just blended everything together and then spat something back out. AI is not capable of creativity. It's not capable of originality. And we can argue that there's nothing new original, there's nothing original anymore, there's nothing new under the sun, but you can still be way more original than having a machine regurgitate things that it was trained on that already existed and that were taken without permission. And I'm gonna harp about the whole, like, stolen thing, but it really is a big problem. Piracy is already a problem, but now we're having piracy create new things, like piracy, plagiarism. It's not okay. It's not good. And the fact that we even have to have these arguments and point this out is alarming. This section says some authors remain conflicted about AI use, and this quote says, my feelings are conflicted. I can see the value in using these agents, but I know it means less jobs for all artists. I've used various AI in the past and found it very helpful, but I hesitate because I don't like what it means for our future. But is it inevitable? Yes and no. AI, again, is here to stay. The genie's out of the bottle. Pandora's already opened the box. You can't stuff it back in. However, you can choose how you want to engage with it, or whether you want to use it at all or not. You have that power. That is your choice. And honestly, if we all just said tomorrow, no, I'm not using AI for this or this or this or this or at all because it's wrong, then it wouldn't be such a problem. But it just reminds me of the line from my book Beyond the Throne, if everybody thought like you, there'd be no resistance. Like, you can't get people to collectively come together on pretty much anything, not even something like this. And it's like social media as well. We all acknowledge that social media is bad, it's toxic, it's ruining attention spans, it makes people so unhappy, and it's like, we have the power to get off of it if we want to, just like we have the power not to engage with AI if we don't want to, but most people, unfortunately, probably won't do that. But you don't have to if you don't want to. This quote says, I think using AI for creating is unethical, but if you're using it to read your own work so you can edit it, I think that's okay. And I know some authors do this for this very reason. I would not input any part of my work into AI, even for the purpose of editing. Like, whatever purpose you're putting it in there for, don't do it, because it will probably rip it off and steal from you. Don't do it. In my opinion, it's not worth it. Again, editing is hard. Editing kind of sucks sometimes, but it's something that we've done since time immemorial before AI came onto the scene, so we can continue doing it without AI's help. This part says, others don't believe it adds value to their work. This quote says, part of the joy of writing novels is doing it myself. Where's the fun getting AI to do it? That's exactly what I said earlier. Why would you do that? If you are a writer and you love writing, why would you get AI involved at all? Why? Even the parts of writing that I don't love as much, the parts that are challenging, the parts that are not as fun, I still enjoy. Like, I've had normal jobs. I have a day job, and there's nothing about any of those other jobs that I've ever felt that way about. With writing, even the parts that I enjoy less, I still enjoy, and I haven't found anything else in the world like that. This quote says, I have been writing all of my life. I love the process, and I love that every book is a new challenge full of learning opportunities. Even if AI was ethical, not harmful to the environment, and not trying to destroy people's livelihoods, I would not use it. I would not rob myself of the joy and the learning opportunities that come with writing and the creative process. And in my opinion, this is clearly somebody who is a writer, who loves writing, who who loves creating. That's all there is to that. Many authors who use AI find it aids their creativity and efficiency. Quote, "My creative processes have exploded with new ideas and storylines. The AI tools have helped me harness and bring to fruition what I see in my head but need a little help bringing fully to life." I think this is a combination of maybe some imposter syndrome, doubt, and laziness. No, you are perfectly capable of doing this. It might take a long time, and I think that's part of the problem. People don't want to wait. They don't want to struggle. They just want to instantly be good at something. And I understand that because I am that way with many things that I try to do, or even if I know I won't be instantly perfect at it, I expect myself to be better at it than I inevitably am. But you have to work through it. You have to struggle. You have to write things that suck so that you can write things that are good. And it's kind of like not respecting the craft if you're not willing to go through that. And as far as new ideas and storylines, again, it's theft, it's regurgitation, it's not new, it's not yours. It's meaningless. This quote says, "I used to spend hours doing research and creating names. Now I can get it done in a few minutes." Again, you did this on your own before AI came around. The only reason that you wouldn't do it now is because you're lazy. You want to save time. You're perfectly capable of doing it on your own, and you don't need to waste water in order to do it. This quote says, "I see it like an assistant or even a ghostwriter at times. I come up with the idea and play with AI to make it better. Then AI purges a first draft and I take over as the author from there. I've always believed writing is what happens once you have a draft. You just get to the draft stage faster." Again, not wanting to go through the process, wanting to speed things up, potentially a little bit of laziness in there. But as far as ghostwriters go, they're still human beings and they still get paid for their work. Unlike all of the authors who had their stuff stolen by AI. Not only was it without permission, it was without compensation. They were not paid for their work being thrown into these language learning models. This section says, "Authors cited dozens of additional use cases for AI." This quote says, "I have AI generate character images. I used to scour the internet looking for inspiration images for characters. Now AI does it in a fraction of the time." You know, video games exist. Like, I do this sometimes, and I know that the customization options in video games can be limited, but it can spark ideas, it can help you figure out what you like, what you don't like, change this up, whatever. You can create your characters in video games to help bring them to life if you need that visual image. You don't have to have AI do that. This section says most authors using AI do not disclose their AI use to readers. Just like I said, 74% of the authors who use generative AI do not disclose their AI use to readers. Of the 26% who do disclose it, most are doing so via their email, newsletter, social media, website, or blog. They're not actually putting it in the book itself. This quote says, "I don't disclose how the sausage is made because I don't think it's helpful for readers to know which craft books I've read, whether I use a hard copy of the Chicago Manual of Style or a grammar checking app, whether I use a writer's critique group or AI to bounce story ideas off of, or which editors and proofreaders I use. Would readers really want to know all of that? I think they just want a good story to read." No, they don't. Obviously, yes, good story is important, but more than anything, I really do believe that readers want to know that the author behind the story is a human being. Somebody who has feeling, somebody who can understand what these themes mean, what it means to go through this stuff, who might have had personal experiences in their life that they are relating or working through in their work. Readers want that connection. They don't want to read a book that was written by a robot. At least I don't. This quote says, "Honestly, it's no one's business if I use AI." Actually, it is, especially if you're going to charge them money for it. The stories are all me. I'm the director, I'm the storyteller. These language models don't give a great output if you don't already know your craft, just like many authors don't disclose a ghostwriter. Again, ghostwriters are human beings, and they are paid for their work. The authors whose work was stolen to make the prompts that you use to write your books were not paid for their work. And again, it is their business if you are going to charge money for your work. And I bet this person is. This section says a common fear among both authors who use AI and those who avoid it is the devaluing of art and artists. This quote says, "I don't want to make myself obsolete, nor any other writer, nor all the wonderful editors, cover designers, audiobook narrators, etc. Let's pay human beings for the art we lovingly create." Exactly, because again, AI is going to drastically change how work looks anyway. Corporations are already more than willing to fire employees, regardless of how long they've been there or how much experience they have, in favor of AI because they don't have to pay as much money. We are already witnessing the beginning of the devaluation of humanity. Let's pay people for their work. What a novel idea. Others see failing to adapt as the bigger risk. This quote says, "AI is here to stay, times are changing, and we as authors need to adapt to stay ahead of the game. As long as we create quality products that readers love, that's what matters." And this is spoken like somebody who just cares about money. They don't care about telling stories, they just want money. And again, this is why AI is also appealing to some people. If you're just writing to try to make money, the idea of churning out a book and having a physical product to sell as quick as possible is an appealing one. But again, again, the bill comes due. It's not going to be worth it in the long run. This quote says, "The creative landscape is shifting and AI is becoming a major force in our reality as creators. Let's help each other learn, adapt more and where needed, and embrace change as empowered individuals and communities. It's time to stop tearing each other down for opinions and usage about AI. We need more deep curiosity and to question the premise that only some people deserve to be good or real artists, or only the good and real artists should experience abundance. That is no longer true, and we're being invited to step into a new paradigm. It's up to us to design it." I saw that some people apparently push back against Victoria Aveyard for her opinion that if you use AI to write, you're not a real writer. And I agree. You're not a real writer. You didn't write it. AI wrote it. And the more and more you rely on AI to do parts of the writing for you, you're less and less of a writer. I think this kind of response clearly shows who feels threatened by this criticism of AI, and they get defensive about that. It smacks kind of the one defense of AI use as, oh, it helps disabled people do this, this, and this, and this. And disabled people online were like, we've been doing that forever without AI. Like, it's kind of offensive to suggest that people with disabilities can only do things now that we have AI, as though they haven't managed to do these things without AI. It's offensive. This section says, "Authors agree that it takes skill and practice to write good books," and this quote says, "I just want to say that I'm not at all threatened by AI. I believe that my readers are interested in reading the human experience, and that is what I give them. AI will never be able to connect with readers the way I do." And I think that this is true, because machines, it's kind of like they are technically proficient, but without the heart. They can learn how to write sentences and paragraphs and turn them into chapters and turn those into storylines, but they have no heart. There is no heart behind them. It's just like if you yell at an AI model and insult it because you say you were offended by it, it might tell you that, "I'm sorry you feel that way." But it's not actually sorry. It has no feeling, no emotion at all. It's not capable of it. And then at the end it says who took the survey. A total of 1,229 authors replied to the anonymous survey. The vast majority of respondents have self-published a book. 69% are self-published, 6 are traditionally published, and 25% have both self-published and traditionally published books. And the majority of the respondents write popular fiction genres. 59% write romance or rom-com, 56% write fantasy, science fiction, or horror, 35% write mysteries, thrillers, or crime fiction, 22% write historical fiction, literary fiction, or women's fiction, 16% write nonfiction, 15% write teen, middle grade, or children's, and 7% write in other genres. So what do we do with this information? Since this is such a small amount of authors who are actually surveyed, I kind of suspect that if you take the results and expand them to the literary world at large, the results are going to be probably about the same. I think way more authors use AI than we think that they do. I don't think many people are out here asking it to write a whole book, and the ones that accidentally left their prompt in the text, that's embarrassing. That's really embarrassing, but I'm glad that it happened, because people who do stuff like that, I think the readers deserve to know, because again, most of them don't disclose it to the readers. And as far as the idea that it's nobody's business, it is. You're asking them money for it. If you're going to ask somebody to give you money for your book, it better be your book, first and foremost. Whether you used AI or you plagiarized, no, it's the same thing. Whether AI was involved or not, you still plagiarized something. It better be your own book if you're going to ask money for it. And I think you owe it to the reader to do the best that you can. Again, it's subjective. Some people will think it's great, some people will hate it regardless of how much effort you put in, but you do owe it to the reader, I think, to put in the most effort that you can, especially when it comes to indie authors, because there is still, unfortunately, a stigma towards us. I think there always will be, and instances like this do nothing to help that out. So, in conclusion, if you're an aspiring author, my advice would be write. If it's what you love to do, if you feel called to do it, do it. Don't let anybody stop you. Don't let the fear of AI making you obsolete to stop you from telling your story. The fact that you're a human being means that both you and your story has inherent value. And that will always be true no matter what happens moving forward. I think it's more important than ever for people who love to tell stories to stick to their guns and refuse to use AI in any capacity right now. The fear that I personally have is that as AI becomes more common, the current moral outrage toward its use will fade away. Right now it's kind of new, and people are outraged when they find out that authors used it in their book or they used it to make their character art. But I worry as it becomes more and more accessible, it will also become more and more acceptable. And that's up to us. It's up to us to stick to our guns and not engage with AI and to not support people that use it if we don't want to. Like, that is our choice. I'm not going to tell you what you should and shouldn't do, but for my part, I would not want to support an author who does not write their own work. I would not want to support an author that uses AI. It doesn't make me feel good about that, especially as more and more information comes out about how unethical it is and how bad it is in terms of wasting water and using electricity. It's just not good, and I'm not going to support people who use AI in their stuff anymore. I'm not gonna do that. That is my own choice to make. Everybody has their own opinions and their own reasons for doing so. But ultimately, as I said at the beginning, my pledge to you, the reader, as the author of my books, is that I created these. I did not stand or sit at my desk for hours, for years, plunking away, basically bleeding onto the page. I think Ernest Hemingway said that. I did not do all of that for nothing. I did not do all of that to hand over everything to a machine. I love doing what I do more than anything, and that's why I do it. It's why I write the books that I do, and that is not going to change. So there you have it. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. My name is Rachel Terry. I am the author of 5 fantasy novels, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!